here with us to learn about some microdosing applications here today. So real quick, I want to give a shout out to Len Hampton on the top of your screen there. He's Sodick National Sales Manager for our injection molding side. Len's kind of the sponsor of the Sodick and Friends webinar series. So thanks, Len, for joining us here. And then Weston Harbaugh at the top of your screen as well is technical sales engineer like myself, covers the East Coast and a portion of the Midwest along with me. So that's our side. And with that, I'll introduce our speakers today. The presentation is titled Micro Molding and Beyond, Advanced Precision Color and Additive Dosing. This is something that we get a lot of questions asked to us about, you know, particularly in the micro world and things like this. How can we dose at low quantity? So really excited to have these folks here. First up, we've got Doug Brownfield. Doug is the commercial director for Ampacet. He's got 35 years in the plastics industry, originally with Dow, and the last 20 or so with Ampacet here. So thanks, Doug, for joining us. I believe he's going to kick us off. Following that, we've got Vince Paskey, the business development manager, if I have that right, Vince.
Correct.
And Vince has over 30 years in specific to plastics auxiliary equipment, so very knowledgeable on that side. And I have here that Vince is really responsible for the growth of LIAD and these products, the weighing and blending technologies in North America. So super happy to have these folks on here today. So with that, I think I'll kick to you, Weston, real quick. You can talk through Q&A and how we'll handle that, and then we'll get started. Thanks again, everybody, for joining.
All right, thanks, Bennett. And
Thanks, Bennett.
Well, welcome and thanks for joining us today as we partner with Doug and Vince from Ampacet. Want to just take a quick minute to cover quick logistical items. First, as Bennett said, this is number 25, and doesn't look like we're going to be slowing down here at all over the next couple months. We have a great lineup coming up. Penn State's, we got a few more in behind that. We have Fragile coming up here in a couple weeks as well. So keep an eye out and keep tuning in. Secondly, and very importantly here for us, let's allow Doug and Vince to present in full their presentation today, right? And then after that, we'll get into the questions. So during the presentation, even you can submit any questions you have through the Q&A portal on the lower right-hand side of your WebEx screen here. So let's send all the questions into the host. That'll come in directly to me. Once Doug and Vince conclude here, we will just start firing those questions at them in the order in which they came in. So I guess Doug, Vince, with that, let's go ahead and get started. It's all yours.
Great. Thanks, Weston. Good afternoon, everyone. Vince and I are very pleased to present to you why precision metering of colors and additives is critical when molding precision parts for medical and other critical industries like automotive, electronics, micro-optics, just to mention a few. You know, as molded parts become smaller, matter of fact, the micro molding market is forecasted to grow by nearly 12% through 2025. The precision and tolerances of these small parts become even more critical. Every injection molding machine and auxiliary equipment must utilize the same precision and consistency. And if you thought you could only dose liquid additives at these lower throughputs and letdowns, we'll show you the technology that can actually feed solid master batch additives at extremely low letdowns using high precision feeding equipment, even down to a single micro pellet. So let's begin. First, a quick brief on Ampacet. We're a privately held global manufacturer of colors and additives, along with our newest offering of advanced blending equipment that automates how you accurately weigh, distribute, and feed your resins, additives, and colorants. Ampacet services most of the plastic processes from rigid to flex. And we sell into the markets ranging from packaging, wire and cable, medical, appliances, durable goods, etc. We're a $1.1 billion company with 25 plants, 2,300 employees around the world. We have 4 global technical centers, and our headquarters is based in Tarrytown, New York. While we've been primarily known for colors and additives for plastics, with our recent acquisition of LIAD, we can now implement an integrated solutions approach for our customers. Now let's take a quick look at LIAD. Ampacet acquired LIAD weighing and control systems in 2019 as part of our customer integration strategy. LIAD is based in Israel, where many of the world's current technological advances are originating from. LIAD has been a pioneer in the precision weighing and blending of plastics for 42 years. They actually patented the first single component gravimetric feeder for injection molding with the ColorSave-1000. That might be surprising with the numerous well-known brands that are on the market today in the US. Now they followed that patent with PelletSave. It's the first centralized blender, batch control, and distribution system. And then BlendSave is now the more advanced version of that, which can manage up to 40 raw materials and delivers to 50 machines. They had also launched recently the ColorSave-Micro Gravimetric Feeder for micro molding and extrusion, which we'll talk about shortly. And later this year, we'll be launching the Spectro 4.0 Inline color measuring and correction system for a total automated quality control approach for molding. Now let's step back a little bit and let's look at the precision molding industry and its challenges. Sodick's line of injection molding machines are highly engineered for precision molding of plastics for the medical, healthcare, and other high precision markets. Just as these molded parts must be exact in specification, how you dose or add colors or functional additives into your molding machines must be as precise as your molding capabilities, or you run the risk of failures in the field or high scrap rates. The question to ask is, what is your cost of quality due to color? Now let's look at the importance of precision metering of colors and additives. As you know, color and additives play an important role in the total quality part of the molded part. We all get that. But you're basically adding a contaminant into your virgin resin and molding process. How you control, weigh, and feed that contaminant becomes critical to your process. Repeatability is critical. You must ensure consistent dosing of your colors in every shot over the entire production run. This will reduce scrap rates and save on your expensive colorant usage and cost. This becomes even more critical as you reduce your letdown percentages of your colors and additives. The tolerance for error becomes extremely tight at these low rates. Part quality and integrity. If you're under or overdose your colors, this will not only affect the visual quality, especially translucent parts where a small fractional percent of dosing adjustment becomes highly visible, but also affect the part's DNA. Parts can become brittle if you overdose too much on thin parts. Physical properties can break down the field when overdosing of colors and additives. Another challenge is utilizing more regrind materials during production. These regrind adjustments can affect the quality of the color and the final molded part. You must accurately adjust the colorant input when changing colored regrind percentages. Proper adjustments are required for every production run to ensure part integrity and to protect yourself from overdosing an expensive colorant. These adjustments can lead to human error if you don't use the right equipment. Now let's look visually at what inaccurate metering can do on a colored part. When operating within extremely tight color tolerances, the slightest changes in the feed rate will cause a visual color change, as illustrated here. Either your QC department catches these color variations early during a production run, or your customer catches it once it's in the field, which we all know is not good. This all impacts your total cost of quality. You must be able to meter these colors accurately and consistently throughout the production run. Now, what's the latest in technologies that will give you this color accuracy on a consistent basis? Vince will now lead you through these new technologies. Vince?
Okay, Doug, thank you very much. And thanks to everyone in attendance for participating in our webinar today. Now that Doug has explained why precision color and additive dosing is critical, let's take a few minutes to explore the LIAD Smart ColorSave-Micro and ColorSave-1000 gravimetric feeders and what makes them the perfect complement for precision and medical molders who need to add color or additive master batch to their products. To begin, here's a typical range for each model. First, let's start with the ColorSave-Micro. So the ColorSave-Micro is designed to handle anywhere from 0.1 pounds per hour up to 10.6 pounds per hour. For those doing injection molding, that would be a range of anywhere from typically a 10-ton machine up to and including a 100-ton machine. Another way of looking at that is at the low end of the 0.1 pounds an hour would typically translate to running a 10-gram shot with a 0.5% letdown ratio and a 4-second fill time. The upper end of 10.6 pounds an hour would translate to running a 175-gram shot with a 3% letdown and a 4% fill time, or 4-second fill time. Next, the ColorSave-1000. So as you can see here, it's got a much broader range from a low end of 0.7 pounds an hour up to 440 pounds an hour. And you can run anywhere on the low end from a 50-ton machine. And we list here a 2,500-ton machine, but actually, depending on the shot size and the cycle time, you could even go larger than that. To look at that another way for injection molding, that low end of 0.7 pounds per hour would translate to running a 50-gram shot with a 0.5% letdown ratio and a 3-second fill time. And that upper limit would actually handle a 10-pound shot with a 20% letdown ratio and a 15-second fill time. Now you might say, well, that really would never apply to a color or additive, but where it could come into play would be if you're adding regrinds as well. So now let's take an in-depth look at the ColorSave-Micro gravimetric feeder. So the ColorSave-Micro, what is it? Well, first of all, as Doug had mentioned, it's a true gravimetric loss and weight color and additive feeder. It's designed for micro molding, precision molding on very small molding machines, but also precise extrusion lines as well. It has an extended output range like we just talked about. Another way of looking at that is a low end, it'll dose of 0.83 grams per minute. So that's less than 1 gram per minute, up to a maximum of about 80 grams per minute. As shown here in the illustration, we have an optional Venturi loader to keep the internal weigh hopper filled. That's all controlled through the ColorSave-Micro controls. So there's no extra control, there's no extra compressed air lines that need connected. Everything is routed through the ColorSave-Micro. It works with a variety of standard master batch pellets, could be micro pellets, micro beads, or any free-flowing granular material. So what it doesn't have are screws or augers like a traditional feeder. Instead, it uses a patented material dispenser and a vibrating channel to dose trace amounts with extremely high accuracy and actually down to a single pellet. Another unique feature, we include an exclusive ionizer that blankets the pellets with ionized air to neutralize static electricity for consistent dosing. So now let's watch a brief video to show the ColorSave-Micro in operation. Just a note, if the sound doesn't come through, there actually are subtitles in the video. So let me go ahead and get that started. Okay, now let's get into a few of the details on the ColorSave-Micro. First, here you can see that the unit is very compact. From end to end, it measures just 19 inches. It's 20 inches high from the bottom of the unit up to the top of the filter on the Venturi Loader, and it's just over 5 inches wide. So a very compact unit that fits well on very small molding machines or small extrusion lines. Next, here's a photo in the top showing the protective outer cover hopper tilted back, which exposes the material hopper. The top photo, you can see the material in the hopper. The hopper holds roughly 300 grams of material. The photo below shows a unit where someone's taken it apart for disassembly or cleaning. And then here we see the vibrating channel dispenser. So that was shown in the video, and that's actually what doses material from the color hopper into the feed throat. Next, we have the air ionizer that we talked about. That's positioned right below the hopper, and that continuously blows ionized air to neutralize the static electricity that could be present in the master batch. And then finally, we have the load cell. You can't really see the load cell here, but it's mounted directly below the hopper and a dispenser. The important thing about that is that the load cell only weighs the small amount of material in the hopper and the dispenser. Again, it really gets back to the heart of what Doug was talking about, the precise dosing, the repeatability and consistency. And it's details like that that really make that happen. So another unique feature I'd like to just show here is the special neck piece that we've designed specially for very low letdown ratios and dosing very small amounts of material. So this is a neck piece that would mount on the machine. On the top, you would typically have your machine hopper. The bottom flange would be mounted to your molding machine throat. On the side, you have the ColorSave-Micro. This is the dispense tube, and that would be inserted here into this black round piece. And so you just basically insert it there, tighten down the turning knob. So how does it work? So the base resin comes down through the top. The color or additive then gets dispensed in the side. So over here in this top view, you can see the base resin is going to fall down on either side of this adapter piece inside. And what that does is it helps keep the color and additive separated. So here's another, you can't really see from that top view, but in this drawing here, you can see it. So we designed a special low additive outlet that transitions down to a cone. And that cone is basically just right above where the material enters the feed throat. So again, you have the base resin going on the outside, going on each side in outside of the cone. So the base resin would be on the outside. The color is metered through the outlet of the cone feature. Why is this important? Well, it's important because that color or additive then is introduced right above where the machine screw is. And then it ensures uniform color feeding and prevents separation. Again, getting back to the heart of what we were talking about earlier with the repeatability and the consistency. Especially it's critical when you're dosing very low amounts, for instance, a 0.3% or a 0.4%. You need to make sure that's dispensed immediately above the screw so it doesn't get mixed in with the base resin materials. Here's a few screenshots. I'll just go through these real briefly. So the first shot, this would be the main menu shot. Here you can see the recipe, the materials. In this example here, this blue arrow going into the Venturi Loader, that shows that the Venturi Loader is currently loading. Below that, the 262 grams, that's the amount of material currently in that hopper. And then over to the right here, you see the target in the actual, both the percentage and the shot size, or the dosing amount. So in this case, the target was 1%. This customer was able to get 1.01% for the actual, and then the target was actually right on. There's also another number here, you see 30%. The 30% represents the energy applied to the vibrating dispenser. So that can go anywhere from 0 to 100%, depending on the shot size and how much you need to dose at a certain time. Next, here's a closer look at the recipe page. So you can basically set up to 500 recipes. You can name them whatever you want. You simply enter the shot size in grams and the desired percentage. And then here's a look at the menu screen. So the top one, this would be the main menu. As you can see, everything is laid out very nice and clear. Once you hit the maintenance button, then that takes you to this lower screen. So in the maintenance section, that's where you would change some of the parameters if you would ever need to. But also this is where you would handle the static calibrations and the dynamic calibrations. So also accessible from the maintenance screen would be the accuracy screens as well. These are very nice because it shows you a real-time image of what's going on. So the one on the left is a trend weight, the trend weight, and this can be whatever time interval you want it to set up. You can look at 1 hour, you can look at a shift, or you can look at a week. This will stay in memory until someone goes in and deletes it. In this case here, for this time interval, you can see that the target of the desired was a 1 gram shot or a 1 gram dose, and the actual was 1.03. Over here, basically, it's just showing the same thing in the percentage. The target was a 1%, the unit actually dosed at a 0.97%. Just one more screen to show the accuracy. So we recently had a customer that wanted to dose some cobalt pellets. So our units are really designed for plastic, different additives and color master batch. So we had them send us some material. We did a test. In this case, this was for a very small lab extrusion line. You can see here that their target was 1.78 grams per minute. It ended up dosing at a 1.77 grams per minute on average, and with a standard deviation of 0.07 grams. So extremely accurate. This is just an example of what you would get if you would ever send us material for a test. For instance, if there was some kind of material that we weren't sure about, or another example could be it's extremely heavy or extremely light. And so we wanted to see how it flows through the ColorSave-Micro. So this next slide here, so this shows an example of precise dosing and how it translates into master batch cost savings. So on the top here, this would be a typical volumetric feeder. So say the customer needed to dose 2%. In order to get that 2% with a volumetric doser, because it's all over the board as far as it's constantly overshooting, undershooting, overshooting, undershooting, whereas a ColorSave-Micro in the ColorSave 1000, actually they calibrate automatically on the fly. They're always honing into that target. So we have a much tighter tolerance when it comes to dosing. So in this example, if we really needed to hit just over 2%, we could actually set it at 2% and not have to set it at 3%. So what does that translate to? Here's an example of doing just a quick ROI for a customer that was using a 100-ton molding machine that was running about 20 pounds an hour. In this example, they were running for 16 hours a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year. So their overall usage on that machine ended up being just over 83,000 pounds of material. In this example, they were using a 4% letdown. So the amount of color that they were dispersing was 3,300 pounds of material. At $10 a pound, that actually translates into $33,000 per year. Now, in that last example, we showed that you could reduce, in that case of a volumetric feeder, we showed that you could reduce it up to 50%. Let's just be very conservative here. Let's just say we can go 10% lower than the target. So even at a 10% lower than the target, so instead of a 4%, we can actually dose at a 3.6% to hit that same accuracy. That's actually a cost savings of $3,300 per year, just in the master batch saving. So now let's take an in-depth look at the ColorSave 1000 gravimetric feeder. In this case, these are typically used with molding machines ranging from, on the low end, 50 ton and up to 2,500 ton and larger. So the ColorSave 1000. So what is it? As Doug had mentioned, it was the industry's first gravimetric loss and weight single component color and additive feeder. It uses patented SmartClean technology that automatically purges the material in between runs. We'll look at another slide here. We'll show that in a little bit more detail. Another unique feature is it has an exclusive outer protective shell. And there's also an inner floating hopper with a single point load cell. So what you see here in this photo is actually the outer protective hopper. This also allows us to mount a Venturi loader with no special adapters or anything like that. And all this with the inner floating hopper and only measuring the amount of material in that hopper plus the hopper itself. Again, it gets back to repeatability and accuracy, and that allows us superior dosing regardless of material bulk densities, even at very low letdown percentages at 0.5% or even less sometimes. This unit also comes with 3 different hopper capacities and 9 screw sizes, and that's how we're able to go from anywhere from a low end of 0.7 pounds an hour up to 440 pounds an hour. It also includes an optional Venturi loader to keep that inner hopper the inner hopper filled at all times. And again, that's all controlled through the ColorSave 1000. It also works with a variety of standard pellets, master batch, micro pellets, micro beads, and even regrinds. So here's another illustration kind of showing some of those details. So in this case, we have the Venturi loader mounted to that outer hopper. This is the outer hopper protective shell. This here would be the inner hopper where all the material from the Venturi loader falls down into. The green box here, that's the load cell. So the load cell is only weighing that material that's in that inner floating hopper. This is the SmartClean technology that has the Venturi unloading for quick color changes in between runs. And here's a nice view of the touchscreen control. It's all as we just saw in some of the screenshots, and we'll look at a few more here in a moment, specific to the ColorSave 1000. So here's an example of the SmartClean technology. So basically in less than 10 seconds, you can clean out all the material is cleaned and purged from the unit, and it's ready to go. So you basically hit the empty button on the screen that activates the Venturi, which is connected to the compressed air. So the Venturi creates a vacuum effect that pulls the material down from the hopper to get sucked out the bottom. And simultaneously, while that's going on, the screw rotates backwards here in the unit, and we blow compressed air opposite where the screw is. So the screw is rotating backwards, we blow compressed air across it, and all the material from the screw and the hopper goes out the bottom of the Venturi, all back to whatever container you had it in, whether it be a barrel or a Gaylord or what. So why is that important? Number one, no more relying on the operators to properly clean out the units in between color runs. It's also enhanced safety by not having to get ladders out or climb up on the machines. And most importantly, it's fast. You can do it in, like I said, less than 10 seconds. All that material is purged and you're ready for the next run. So here's a couple screenshots on the ColorSave 1000. Looks very similar to the ColorSave-Micro. There are a few differences. I'll just point those out quickly. Again, you set up for different recipes, up to 500 recipes. In this case, you can call the materials whatever you want to name them. You can name the recipes whatever you want to name them. In this example here, they were doing a 500 gram shot with a 3.2% target. The actual, again, it shows it right there on the main screen, 3.21%. In this case, regrind is shown in green. That means that the customer is currently adding regrind at 20%. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. It also shows here on the hopper 968, that's 968 grams inside the hopper currently. And then finally, the dosing shows 22.5%, and that's the step motor capacity is running at 22.5%. Also, the menu screen is very similar to the last one we looked at in the ColorSave-Micro. Everything is very user-friendly, laid out very nicely. It's all in plain, simple English. Here's just a few more screens. So when you go into some of those, into the maintenance screen, here's an accuracy trend very similar to before, where you can actually see different time intervals showing how accurate it is. Shows the desired set point, the actual, and then also what the motor speed is. Here's another kind of a unique feature. This would be for customers that typically are used to running with cavities. So they may not know their shot weight, the operators may not know the shot weight, but they know how big the part is. They may, in this example, they're running a 12.7 gram part, and in this case, it has 10 cavities. So it allows the operator to enter that information, and then it calculates the shot weight automatically. Again, simple, easy to use. Here's another really nice feature I like. So depending on what your recipe is, depending on what you're running, there may be some times where the current screw in the unit is too small or too large for the application. And so you'll get a warning if the screw is too small. In this case here, it's telling you to replace it with the next bigger screw. That's a really nice feature. Again, it doesn't go through and make the bad parts, and so you have to scrap them. It's going to tell you that immediately and not let you proceed until you change out the screw. Here's the regrind screen that I had mentioned in that last slide. In this case, the target desired letdown was 1%. In this case, the customer inputted 20%, adding regrind. So the control then automatically scales back the amount of regrind that we're dosing in based on that 20%. If you were to put in 40%, it would take it down to 0.6% instead of 1%. So that's a really nice, unique feature that, again, saves the operator from having to go through the calculations and figure out what the correct percentage is. The reality is, based on my experience with customers, they typically just leave it alone, which is okay, but you're wasting money on unneeded master batch because you're dispensing more. But also could be, as Doug said, the color sometimes is really a contaminant. And so we really don't want to overdose. If we can avoid it, we really don't want to overdose the color. And this is just another example of how we can prevent that. So another feature we have with the ColorSave 1000, we can actually mount 2 units on a single neck piece, whether it be 2 colors, 2 additives, or very commonly, a color and a regrind. We can also combine gravimetric and volumetric units on one device. You might say, well, why would I want to put in one side be volumetric, the other side be gravimetric? An example of that would be if you were running color and regrind. The reality is the color is very expensive. You want to dose it very precisely. So on that side, you may want to go for a gravimetric feeder. On the other side, though, if it's just regrind, even if it's a 0.5% off or a 1% off on the regrind, it's not going to affect the part quality, and it's a much better, it's a much greater cost savings. It makes it a lot more economical. We have a single control that simplifies the setup and the operation, that keeps track of both sides simultaneously. And another nice feature is, as we just talked about with adding the regrind, it actually goes one step further. So it'll automatically change the amount of regrind or change the amount of color based on how much regrind you're adding, but it also includes a sensor. So we detect when there's no regrind present. An example of that could be if you're just running the regrind out of a barrel or a Gaylord. Well, what happens when the material runs out? The unit will sense that, and it will automatically take it back to the original target. And as I just mentioned, it's a lot more economical than a traditional 4-component batch blender. The reality is, if somebody wants to do virgin color regrind, the way the market typically does it today is, well, you need a 4-component batch blender. The reality is, with a unit like the ColorSave 1000, the dual save, you don't. So that completes the review of the ColorSave-Micro and the ColorSave-1000 precision feeders. Now I'll hand it back over to Doug to talk about some other exciting LIAD Smart technology.
Thank you, Vince. There are two other patented LIAD technologies that we wanted to highlight briefly here. And perhaps Sodick will invite us back and we'll do some additional webinars on these other technologies. But the first is the Blend Save. It's a central blending and automated material distribution system. It has the ability to manage up to 40 raw materials and deliver custom weighted batches to 10 or up to 50 molding machines. There's no need for individual batch blenders for every machine at this point now. It's modular in design, so you can start with a small operation and build onto it as you grow. It's highly flexible. Any recipe to any machine at any time with its octobatch distribution system, and it handles a total throughput up to 13,000 pounds per hour. It also eliminates cross-contamination issues that are associated with other central blending systems today. And it really takes that human error out of the equation. No more someone having to switch hoses in a manifold type system. It really, what's the ultimate here is that it supports a lights out automation. No more employees required to run the operation. This can be set up to your ERP system and ran right, all your formulations, your recipes are all downloaded, and your inputs are via your laptop or the control unit. So you have no employees now involved in this blending and trying to get that blend to the machine. It's all automated. And this is ideal for clean room medical molding operations. You know, there you want less equipment inside the clean room. You don't want a bunch of batch blenders in that room, which you have to basically clean and maintain. Blend Save is sitting outside that clean room environment, and basically you have a few pipes, hoses going into the room to deliver the materials. So a very clean way of weighing and delivering the material to your machines. Secondly, we'll be launching the new Spectro 4.0 inline color measurement system later this year, which we're very excited about. This technology continuously measures molded color parts during production via a fiber optic probe, which constantly compares the color value of the molded part to your established color standard. Plus, the Spectro is constantly communicating back to our ColorSave feeder and makes appropriate adjustments to keep the parts in specification. This is truly a Industry 4.0 solution to improving your quality and reducing the total cost to manufacturing. Now, in closing, let's kind of review what we just learned here. Ampacet and LIAD Smart, which we now call LIAD, is LIAD Smart because their equipment is so intelligent, are combining our expertise in colors and additives with innovative solutions to weigh, dispense, and blend them for plastic processors. Precision molding requires precise color and additive dosing. If you under or overdose, it can affect the visual quality and the part integrity, as well as your overall operation cost. Our ColorSave-Micro is, again, the only true gravimetric feeder for small and micro molding machines, while metering a very low letdown ratio accurately and consistently. And then finally, the ColorSave-1000 gravimetric feeder, also designed for high accuracy, but this has the exclusive SmartClean technology for quick color changeovers between runs. All right, so as we conclude here, Vince and I would personally like to thank Sodick and PlusTech for this opportunity to present our new patented technologies today. We are stocking these technologies in our Indiana warehouse. Also, our lab is available to test your materials So if you want, before a trial, if you want us to send us your raw materials, your colorants, your resins, for example, additives, we can run them through our feeders, blenders. You'll get back a report, shows you the accuracy over a time period, and it shows you how it will flow through our system. We also offer 30-day trials with our equipment. So please jot down our contact information and feel free to reach out to us with any additional questions after our Q&A session, or if you'd like to have us take a look at an opportunity with you. So now we'll open it up for questions.
Excellent. Thanks, Doug, and thanks, Vince. And to, I guess to your point, of course, we're going to ask you guys back. We're very happy you joined us today, and it was a great presentation. Also wanted to mention that we do have a demo unit at our Elk Grove Village facility for anyone local or anyone that's in the area to stop by there and see it as well. So appreciate that partnership and for joining us here today. We've had a few questions come in. The first one, let's start with this here. It says, you know, we dry our additive before introducing it, and the main resin is also dried. Can I still use this feeder?
I'll take that one. The answer is yes. So we have a couple different units, a couple different ways to handle that. For both the ColorSave-Micro and the ColorSave-1000, we offer a cooled neck piece. And why that's important is sometimes the color or additive master batch melts at a lower temperature than the main, especially if the main resin is very hot. So we have a cooled neck piece version that allows the unit to dose correctly without it prematurely melting and clogging up above the screw. Secondly, if you're drying the additive or color, we have modifications to both units for both the ColorSave-Micro and the ColorSave-1000 to make them work with high temperature materials as well. So we have it covered both ways.
Excellent. Moving along here, can you test our master batch to see how consistent it will feed at a targeted letdown ratio?
Yeah, so as I kind of finished up there, we can take your material, we'll get an understanding of your shot size, throughput rates, etc. And then we'll run that through the appropriate, if it's the micro or if it's a ColorSave-1000. We can take videos of how well how the material's flowing, especially in the micro. If it's more of a granular powder, you're interested in seeing how well it's going to flow. It doesn't build up, it doesn't bind together. So it's important to understand how the material flows through the channels of the micro. We'll issue reports, we'll show you timelines, and you actually see how accurate it's feeding over an extended period of time.
Wonderful. As we're all kind of looking forward here with technology and stuff, can we connect to your control unit from a PC to track the performance?
Yeah, so LIAD has a software called LIAD View. Currently, it's a monitoring system that would tap into your personal laptop, for example, where you could be offline and you can monitor all the feeders that are running in your operation. Now, later this year, we're going to be introducing a wireless cloud version of LIAD View. And what's ideal about this is that it will basically do the same thing, but you can actually change the inputs off-site. So if you're sitting in a second-story office away from the machine, you could actually change the dosing time of the colorant or additive. So you can actually change parameters on the fly. As the material is flowing, you can actually change the letdown percent, the throughput, gram weights offline, as well as monitor the entire operation. So that's going to be a very slick system as it comes out later this year.
Right on. These last couple here, maybe you can just expand on what was in the presentation here. Can I mount two of the micro feeders on one throat adapter?
The answer to that is yes. We showed in the presentation 2 of the ColorSave 1000s, but yes, you could certainly mount 2 of the micros on one throat adapter. We could actually mount one of each on there as well. So depending on what the ratios were and what the amounts of the color or the regrind or whatever material you're going to be adding, you could have one side be a ColorSave 1000 and then the other side be the micro.
Excellent. I know in the presentation as well, Doug, I think you had mentioned this, that you guys are open, for some trials or, maybe letting them try out the unit or whatever. Can you speak a little bit more to that?
Yeah, so basically I have a 30-day program where it gives you 30 days to run the equipment before you purchase it. So we have an agreement that we'd have you sign. We prefer to get an initial PO based on a formal quote, so you'll know what the cost is. And then we'll basically ship the product to you. What's also nice we didn't mention is there was a series of how-to videos. So you would get the how-to videos along with the manual for easy installation, easy calibration. So you'd have 30 days to run it, prove to yourself, prove to your operators how well it runs, and then in 30 days, either fulfill the purchase order request or ship it back to us.
Okay. Now, are those videos available prior to any kind of a trial contract or anything?
Absolutely. Just email us. We'll send you the how-to videos. There's a series of for the micro, and there's a series of them for the ColorSave 1000. It'll show you exactly what's in the box, all the different parts that come out of the box, how to install it, and then how to calibrate. Also, for the ColorSave 1000, it'll show you how the Easy Clean feature works, how to replace the screws, the whole gamut.
Yeah, I like the videos because they're very brief, they're very informative. Each one's about 3 minutes long. They're real nice supplements to the manuals.
Another thing that we talked about, Weston, is these machines are hardwired into your machine, which allows it to synchronize with your injection molding machine. So there's only 2 wires that need to be tied into your machine to allow the feeders to understand your throughput, et cetera.
Excellent. Great stuff, guys. Great stuff. Next question here, or more of a thanks, right? Saying thanks for the presentation today. And they're saying, did you know you can adjust operating parameters on the feeders now with the current LIAD View software?
Yeah, it's more difficult to do it today on the LIAD View to change the parameters other than at the control unit. The new cloud version is when you will be able to change the parameters.
Wonderful. We'll give a few more minutes here for additional questions to come in, I guess, and maybe if we don't see anything there, we can wrap up a few minutes early even. But again, Vince, Doug, thank you both for the time and energies put into this. Is great presentation and a great product that you have there. So I did want to say thank you specifically from Len Hampton. He had to jump on a conference call here partway through, but he wanted to express his gratitude as well.
Great. Hey, Weston, also remember the upcoming molding and extrusion conference in Chicago. We both will have booths at that conference in Chicago, and we'll have the micro and the ColorSave 1000 at the booth. And I believe you guys will be mounting the micro on your small machine as well.
Right.
So that'll be an excellent way for people to see the micro firsthand.
Right. Great stuff. I appreciate you bringing that up, Doug.
Yeah. Thanks so much, guys. Great stuff.
And then once we launch the Spectro, hopefully we'll be invited back, because I think the inline color measurement system will be very interesting for your customers.
I would say that's very true, Doug. We had a question right away based on that, and then you touched on it later. So there's definite interest. So,
Yeah, that's a hot topic anytime where we can allow the unit to self-correct and self-adjust, not only to save money, but to improve the quality of the parts. That's a win-win. Yeah, Bennett and Wes and everyone at Sodick, thanks very much for having us. This was really a great opportunity to help showcase some of these products, but really they're a complement to your products as well. And we're really excited about starting to work together with you guys as well. So I really appreciate it.
thanks, Vince. Thank you. This is a great question, just came in. I want to throw this at you here. Can you meter powders and fillers with these blenders as well as pellets?
Yeah, the problem with powders and some fillers is that moisture can get trapped in those parts. They may seem flowable initially, but as they pick up humidity and moisture from the air, they become very clumpy. And that's what's the problem with our feeders is now we have a powder save feeding technology that actually has a auger built in. So it has the way hopper, it's got the screw, but also has an auger to break up that clumpy powdery material. So we do have the powder save that would be best suited for that type of application. But if your powder or mineral is more granular, like sugar, then it most likely will work fine in our machines. But all powders are not created equally, and we just
as long as it's free flowing, that's what the important thing is. If the material is free flowing, chances are it's going to work. But if it's not free flowing, then it would lend to some other equipment that we have solutions for, but probably not these two units.
All we do is have you send us a few kilos of your powder. We would run it through the machines and report back to you if we think it's going to give you the flowability and accuracy that you're looking for.
Great. Must have allowed just the right time. I got another question here for you guys. Regarding, do you offer on-site assistance with selection, setup, training, etc.?
Absolutely. So we're available. Vince has grown up in this equipment world with his long tenure with Conair. So Vince is perfect to come out, analyze your operation, what you need, look at your throughputs, and recommend the best solution. So yes, we would do on-site initial discussion. The LIAD engineers, for example, the blend save system. LIAD their engineers would become very involved in the analysis, designing the right system, and then the installation and commissioning of that system.
Great. Excellent. Guys, with that, I think we'll wrap up here today. Again, really appreciate it. Look forward to working with you here at the molding show. And again, we do have a demo unit available to see in our Elk Grove Village facility. So
Perfect. Thanks, Weston. Thanks, Bennett.
all right, guys, take care.
Thanks,
you,
guys. Talk to you soon.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye-bye.